Welcome to the July 25th, 2024 meeting of the Committee of the Whole of the Tennessee Public Charter School Commission. A link has been provided on the Commission website for the public to view this meeting. Today we will hear a presentation from Hamilton County Schools on their charter school landscape, followed by a panel made up of representatives from Hamilton County Schools and several other charter schools in Chattanooga. I'm going to start by recognizing our former chair and current commissioner, Tom Griscom, to advise us all about Chattanooga and give us a little bit of your background and introduce the representatives who are here.
Thank you, Chris. Let me first say welcome. Thank you all for being here. It's great to showcase what's happening in Chattanooga for my fellow commissioners, so I appreciate you being here. Let me also thank Senator Todd Gardenhire, who's on the Senate Education Committee, who's with us today as well. Chris, for all the commissioners and those who are watching this, Hamilton County School System has been very supportive of charter schools. And it's great that all the charter schools we have are part of the school system. So Jim, thank you. Please send back to the superintendent that we appreciate the support, as do I know the colleagues on your right. Let me start with Elaine. Elaine Swafford opened the Girls Leadership Academy. Together now with Brad Scott, who's at Chattanooga Prep and is getting ready to open Knoxville Prep, I think, next week.
Yes, sir.
They took an old college campus, Tennessee Temple University, and have turned it into a thriving public school community here in Chattanooga in Highland Park area. Elaine, with her Girls Leadership Academy, then opened up a Montessori school. And I shared with Elaine at the time where we looked at Montessori schools as commissioners. It'd be great for her to share with us the experience that she's had with this new school that's opened up. Brad, as I said, at Chattanooga Prep, getting ready to open Knoxville Prep, they won a state boys basketball championship, which is pretty phenomenal. There's a lot of community involvement in all these schools. I think one of the highlights here in Chattanooga is you've got local people who are invested in it, who are there all the time. I think that makes a difference. And then Angie is part of an elementary school that's attached to Ivy Academy, which when we were looking at Nashville, the nature school in Nashville, I think I mentioned Ivy Academy is a nature school. And I had the opportunity to go up there and look at it. They have a connection with Tennessee Department of Conservation, where they have actual rangers that show up and do programs with them. Then Angie opened an elementary school that's just sort of down the road as they build a new building across the street from Ivy Academy. And so we've got I think we have a very solid set of public charter schools in Chattanooga. And again, Jim, again, thank you for the support we get from Hamilton County. So with that, Chairman, I will turn it back to you.
Thank you so much. To start today's conversation, Maggie Lund, our Deputy Director of Authorizing, is going to start. Maggie, you have the floor.
Great, thank you. Thank you all for being here today. It's great to have you. I'm actually going to turn it to the panel. Thank you, Commissioner Griscom, for the introduction, but I'll allow you all to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about each of your schools, and then I'll recognize Jim for your presentation. So we'll start with Angie.
Okay, so Skillern Elementary, Ivy Academy Skillern Elementary is a new model. We call it the Tennessee Classical Model, and it synthesizes environmental education with the classical academics. So it is brand new. We have a lot of interest. Parents love this. Our current
mic closer.
Yes, sir.
Speak into the mic, please. Get right up there close to it.
How is that?
Yeah, a lot better.
Okay. Do I need to say over?
That is your retirement, and you want to hang on to it. Open your mouth.
Do you need me to repeat what I said?
Yes.
Okay, I'll repeat what I said. So, Ivy Academy Skillern Elementary, the model, we call it the Tennessee Classical Model, and it synthesizes the environmental education piece of place-based education with the classical academics. So parents, the community, they love this model. We have not had state assessments yet. This will be our first year to have students old enough. So we're very excited to see how we will score on those. But then Ivy Academy, the 6th through 12th school, it started the same year as CGLA in Hamilton County, 2009. And that has the environmental focus theme as well. So, but one thing that I knew is that the students who were coming to us were below grade level. As a matter of fact, we still have to double block all our ELA and mathematics in middle school because the students that come to us are just so far behind, and we have to do intense remediation, and then by the time they're seniors, we have caught them up. So when I wrote the charter for the elementary school, I wanted something with an excellent academic program so that we could remedy that problem, so that when students got to the middle school, they weren't having to take 2 maths and 2 Englishes in order to catch up. So that's kind of the scope and the description of what kind of programming we have.
Commissioners, thank you for having us, and guests, Senator Gartenhire, thank you for all your support. Good to see you. I'm Brad Scott, CEO of Prep Public Schools. We operate Chattanooga Prep, which was founded in 2017 by Elaine Swafford, the founding executive director, and Teddy Kelly Alling. Chattanooga Prep will welcome its senior class, first graduating class this year. In addition, we will be opening Knoxville Prep next week, August 1st. Chattanooga and Knoxville Prep are all boys schools. We serve young men from here in Chattanooga all across Hamilton County, and in Knoxville all across Knox County. Our young men will be the leaders of tomorrow, and we're preparing them to do such thing, both academically and socially. Our core values are one big family, because we do everything as a team. As Tom mentioned, our basketball team won the state championship, and that's just representation of our team core values that we do in everything, not only sports, but also academics. Second core value is grit. Our young men show up every single day with grit, starting in 6th grade in double math, double ELA, science, social studies, STEM classes, athletics. We have a longer school day, a longer school year, and when they are working, they're showing grit. And our teachers, our staff, they possess grit in everything that they do for our scholars. And then the last core value is do more to achieve more. We believe we possess as a team that we have to do more to achieve more for our young scholars. Chattanooga Prep senior class, 100% of them will be accepted into college and go to college. This time next year, we have a few young men that are going into the military, and we are ensuring that they're prepared for that next step. And I, along with my team, we have a team member here, Juan Aguinaga, our chief of staff, who does an incredible job. We couldn't do it without our teachers and our staff. Last year, Chattanooga Prep was a reward campus. That's just a representation of what we want to do. We want to do more to achieve for our young scholars, because boys across America, if you look at every statistic, are behind. In social and academics, the number one gender demographic that's dropping out of schools in Tennessee are boys. The number one demographic that is getting in trouble are boys, and we're turning that around. You will see our scholars at the table like this one day in the future of Chattanooga and the future of Knoxville. So it's an honor to be here.
Good afternoon. Again, thank you for having us here today and allowing us to talk just a little bit about the landscape of public charters in Hamilton County. I'm Elaine Swafford, and I am the CEO of Chattanooga Girls Leadership Academy, where we're unlocking the world of possibilities for girls, and then for Montessori Elementary at Highland Park, where we're elevating education and opportunities for young people. I arrived at CGLA back in 2012. I'm starting actually my 13th year. I signed on for 3 and it's turned into 13. Don't ask me. But I was hired. I came from here, as a matter of fact, Chattanooga State. I was vice president of student affairs and economic and community development when they lured me away to help keep Chattanooga Girls Leadership Academy open. It was on the closure list in 2012. And we were dead last in everything. We had a 13.7% success rate, and that was on what I call the easy TCAP scores before 10 Ready came along. And we were dead last in ACT scores. There were 22 high schools, I believe, in Hamilton County, and we were number 22 in ACT with a 13% average as well. And so we knew, and at the time, the superintendent gave us 9 months to turn the school around or close. And so we brought a team in and we did just that, and that's been in the closure's been in the rearview mirror, and we're trying to keep it that way. And so I've had the opportunity to serve. Our mission is to serve underserved students and to make sure that our demographics reflect that. As a matter of fact, I believe I'm looking at Senator Gardenhire back there, who helped change that legislation back to making sure that we can prioritize low-income, disadvantaged students in our school system. So again, and then we, as Brad said, I had the opportunity to become the founding CEO of Chat Prep back in 2017, and he does an admirable job of serving in that position now. And we went on then to open Montessori Elementary, a pre-K 3 through 5th grade. So on our campus, we're now pre-K through 12th grade. And the Montessori school actually is co-ed and feeds into both the boys and the girls school on our campuses. And so it's been over the 12 years, I like to look back and say, hopefully we have paved the way for some of the up and coming charters that have arrived in the county. So it's a pleasure to be here, and again, thank you for having us.
Great. Can you guys hear me on this mic over here? Pull it closer.
You need to pull it closer.
Just making sure. Use the handheld that's on the. Jim, you're recognized. You want to come up here?
Let's make sure that's working.
Can you guys hear me okay? It's an honor to be here. I was listening to the three of them talk, and it's been an honor to work with three great educators as these three. They're three of the best. I'm in my 32nd year now with Hamilton County, and known Dr. Swafford a long time. She's got a couple more in than I do, but anyway, it's a pleasure to be here. My name is Jim Bowles. I am the Director of Access and School Choice. We are actually in a part of a department with Hamilton County Schools known as Opportunity and Access. And I have people ask me this all the time, what is that? That's something we've never really heard of. And it is something that when Dr. Justin Robertson came on board, we recognized that there are groups in our system that are underserved. And really that is what our particular department focuses on. And so school choice falls into that. And then charter schools fall under that in my direction. But we're made up of our E&L program, X-Ed, pre-K, RTI, you name it. But we're trying to serve those that may not be served as they should. So thanks for having me here. Hamilton County Schools, we have a just cause here that all children thrive and experience a future without limits. That's something that we constantly talk about. It's repeated over and over, and that is our goal day in and day out. We have five different commitments that we look at, and we want to make sure that every student learns, that every student belongs. And I think, this is also something that really fits in with charter and that in every community served, is making sure, and when we're looking at school choice in general, kids are leaving their zone school and coming to different places, and we want to make sure that they come into a welcoming environment where they can be their best and thrive. We want to make sure every school's equipped, every employee is valued, and again, one of my big tenets or commitments is making sure that every community is served, and I think our charter schools do help us to achieve that. So our office school, our charter school mission within our office, we obviously want to practice rigorous authorization. We want to provide meaningful support to our charter schools and really uphold the high academic standards, create fair and equitable opportunities, and improve the outcomes for all our students in Hamilton County. I think that's something that probably you all talk about a lot as well, is that, there's the district and there's the charter schools, but they're all our children in Hamilton County. So today I'm going to hit our charter school landscape, who and where we serve our students, and academics and accolades. So Hamilton County Schools now authorizes 9 different schools. We work out of a pretty small office. There's really just 3 of us in there, and that's probably a lot different than some of the other districts who have a much larger office. Fanny Moore, who I'd like to introduce, is back here. She is, and she corrected me, she's in her 11th day as our charter school coordinator. So we did not throw her to the wolves today to have her up here. Next time you're here, though, Fanny will be up here. She is replacing Kelly Kofelt, who many of you may know, who's kind of been transitioning out throughout last year. And during her transition, I've sort of been thrown to the wolves and really learned a lot over the last year. Still not an expert, though. We'll talk about that. And again, I told you who I was. And then we have an assistant, Jennifer Workman, who really covers a lot of things, but she's a supporter of us with all of school choice, charter schools, and of course the entire Opportunity and Access Department. And then where I think we differ from other districts, maybe from my understanding, is that we obviously work with all the different departments in Hamilton County Schools, for site visits and supports and professional developments and trainings and those kinds of things. We just don't necessarily have those directly in our office at this point. And my understanding is some of the larger districts do have that. So here are our 9 charter schools that we have in Hamilton County. Our brand new one is Chat Academy Community School, which is an immersion school that is going to be opening up as a 6th and 7th grade, eventually to become a 6-12. They will be opening up this school year, and so they are very excited. And I know these 3 leaders have been great supports to Nolan McDaniel, who's their CEO. So we're excited about Chat Academy Community School. We have Chattanooga Charter School of Excellence at all 3 levels, elementary, middle, and high. We have our Chattanooga Girls Leadership Academy, who you all know well, Chattanooga Preparatory School, Ivy Academy School of Chattanooga, Ivy Academy Skillern Elementary, and the Montessori Elementary of Highland Park. We are going to put in our charter notices for anyone putting in a letter of intent that you can no longer use the name Chattanooga in it. We have quite a few Chattanooga schools in the district as well, so that's a joke. But yeah, we have a lot of CCCs and CCSAs and all these kinds of things. So who and where do we serve our 9? Who do our 9 charters serve? I think this is, and really I'll just give you a second to take a look at this, but pointing out the ELL, our economically disadvantaged, our BHN, our special ed department percentages in our 504 and ELL, we're serving the community, again, like we talked about, that opportunity to access, we're serving groups that may be underserved. And you can see by our percentages here that we are reaching a targeted group of folks that need those supports, and they're doing their job for that. So I find this particular slide really meaningful and something to dig into. Are you going to get that? Thank you. So one of the things that I thought would be pretty neat to look at and I asked for a kind of a hotspot map of the community that we serve. And you can see, and we'll need to scroll up in just a second, but up here, this is more of the northern part of the county, up where Ivy and Skillern are. You kind of get into the Soddy Daisy, these first 2 oranges. Let's see, does this have a beam on it? I don't think it does. The 2 darker orange spots are in the Soddy Daisy area, and then these 2 lighter marks are in your Hickson and Red Bank area. of Chattanooga. And then as you move down, and I've got a cheat sheet over here a little bit, but as you get a little closer to town, excuse me, sorry. Oh, I apologize. All the orange at the very top are Soddy Daisy. As you get down a little closer to the middle part of the map, you're looking at your Hickson and Red Bank area. But down here, it's interesting that Hamilton County leadership took a bus ride this summer, and we went through some of our neighborhoods of high need. And as we did that, I happened to be on the same bus as the superintendent, and I said, we just passed 7 of our 9 charter schools. So as you get down to the bottom, this corridor, if you will, you're hitting all kinds of neighborhoods, such as Piney Woods, Clifton Hills, South Side, Highland Park, East Lake, East Dale, Avondale, and East Chattanooga. So I think it's just really telling about the students that we are serving here in Hamilton County. Thank you. And let's see how everyone's doing academically. We're very proud of our schools. If you see now, this is the 22-23 data. Can't share the new stuff yet, but you can see the green is where our charter schools are either at the same as our district or overachieving or achieving higher than the district. And our orange is where they might be a little bit below. So there's work to be done, but I think we have some really great things we can see in our TVOS that our schools are growing across the board, and our absenteeism is good. But we're real proud of the work they're doing, and we're going to keep digging into the work that they're doing. And as Brad mentioned earlier, some of our academic performances and highlights. Chat Prep was one of our reward schools this past year. And then we have our Chattanooga Charter School for Excellence, received our Level 5 banner, as did the middle school. And our CGLA also received a Level 5 academically. We do have one newly identified comprehensive support, our CSI school, and that is our Chattanooga Charter Excellent Middle School. You know, they actually did show improvement, but we just haven't gotten to where we need to be just yet. And that's really focused around English and math. So we've been working with CCSE Middle School, and we're hoping that we can get them off this year, actually, within 12 months. It's very possible. And then just pulled the graduation rates and graduate rating. You can see this is outstanding. I know that Ivy's is even better this year. I'm not supposed to say that, but it is. And then you can see that our Chat Prep will have their first graduation class, like Brad had mentioned, and our Chattanooga Charter School of Excellence for high school will have their first senior class in 26. I believe that's it. No, good. Thank you. Thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you, Jim. I'm going to have Jim join the panel, and I have a couple questions to start us off, and then I'll just turn it over to commissioners, and you all can pass the mics at your table and ask questions. But would love to hear from our panelists, what are some of the greatest strengths and opportunities that are within this district and your charter school and the landscape that you all are, a part of? But would also like to hear some of the challenges that you faced. As I know many of you are opening schools or have recently opened schools, I know that there are probably plenty of challenges that you can list off here, but would love to just hear strengths and opportunities and challenges as part of the charter space here. So anybody can kind of just chime in.
I'll go first. I think one of the strengths, it's become a strength. It hasn't always been a strength, if I'm perfectly honest, but I think one of the strengths, as I was just listening to Jim, even the narrative of how we speak about charters has changed over the years. And so I just heard Jim say that we're gonna dig in and we'll hopefully have this school, whichever school it was, in a better place in 12 months, right? That hasn't always been, and so I think one of the things that's become a strength is really Hamilton County becoming more of a partner with us in certain ways. Because I can remember back in 2012, it hasn't always been that way. And I know that in other parts of the state, it may or may not be that way. But I can honestly say that I can remember back when I just told Jim earlier, we were applying for a SIG grant. And we knew we could apply, but we were told very, very late by our county that we could apply. That would not happen today, right? They would tell us that right up front. So over the past years, again, I think a strength is having them alongside of us instead of really in front or behind us. And so I've seen that become a strength over time.
I would agree. Communication also is a strength. I know I can call Jim at any time, and if I have an issue or just a question about something, he's always very responsive. And then, as Elaine was saying, the language of one county serving Hamilton County scholars. Even our superintendent, Dr. Robinson, when I see him, he's always saying, we're one county. We're all serving kids in our district. You all are a public school. And you don't hear that a lot. So for statewide, and I'm from Chattanooga, but working in Texas for a while, where it's very competitive, having a school district and a superintendent and staff that wants to help you because we're serving kids, it's very student centric, is excellent. And I also wrote down willingness to learn. I know Jim and Fonnie has come over to Chat Prep already this new school year and is wanting to learn about our school, learning about our model. Jim's walked through the building, been a part of meetings when we've invited him to. So that collaboration is definitely there, and it takes a team, it takes a village to serve all kids. And I definitely feel that, and we definitely feel that as an organization, that's happening here in Hamilton County.
I would also agree. The climate has changed considerably. My first year in the charter school world was 2009-10 school year in Hamilton County. I was at CGLA the first year and then shifted to Ivy after that. But you have to realize, like, we couldn't even process truancies back then. I had to spend multiple hours just making a way for us to be able to process truancies for a charter school. So things have changed significantly. We do get to spend more time on educating students than we do fighting for a way to have a school. But then there are still challenges such as, for example, last year we had the law passed that teachers get the 6 weeks maternity leave, but then an attorney at TDOE decided that didn't apply to charter school teachers. And so 5 of my teachers who had babies last year were cheated out of that opportunity, and that makes them feel inferior to teachers that are in the district. So there are still challenges that we have to face for people who don't understand that charter schools are fully public school, but thankfully that's not so much in our district anymore, and we are very grateful for that. We've got great district people now.
I'm tickled to death to hear. I'm tickled to hear. I'm tickled to hear this. They keep saying Jim. Kelly Cofelt, who retired recently, really deserves the credit for laying the groundwork for that. I am tickled to hear that, but we want to improve that even more. Like, we see areas where we can improve that kind of cooperation, and as Fani is coming on, we're setting our goals to improve that even more. But I'm glad to hear that is the temperature right now.
That's great. I appreciate you all starting with the positive and all the strengths. Would love to hear some of the challenges that you're facing. I think a lot of our discussions around pre-opening and the challenges of opening schools, I know all of you are very familiar with those, and would love to hear some of your thoughts there.
The pre-opening of Montessori was almost a nightmare, to be honest. And again, we have personnel that again is walking alongside us at this point, but there was a point where I was not going to be allowed to open my school. I don't know if you knew that, John, but at any rate, we worked through that, but that was a challenge, and so having to fight that opening, and then also in the middle of building a new building, right? And then bringing brand new students in and trying to recruit those. And so, some of it was all at one time that, okay, I've got to fight to get this school open, but I've also got to make sure in the meantime, I'm enrolling students, and then I've got to get the lottery accomplished. And so it was a little volatile moments there, probably that should not have been, but we worked through those. But it was, an opening a Montessori it has its challenges anyways, because you're a multi-level institution. So, you have, you might have a pre-K, K, and a first grader in the same classroom, or a first, second, third grader. So you've got to figure out, I was just saying to my principals yesterday, I have a little girl that she is not ready for kindergarten, even so her age says so. And so we've got to make sure that we place children right. Because as public charters, we say to people, we've got a plan that's going to work for children, and so we make sure we work that plan. But those were some challenges going in, and to be quite honest, I was surprised we were still a school after year 2. But we're going starting year 4.
I would say, I submitted my charter the same year that Elaine submitted the charter for Montessori, and we did defer hours a year. And comparing between the 2 years, I think the district did learn a lot through Elaine's experience, because she was not going to be denied, and she did require them to stay with the state model. And so when we went through it again the second year, they had learned, and it was a little bit better. But then there's this whole challenge is the whole, just the cultural climate, and people trying to make something political out of delivering a really good education to students. That was a huge challenge for me. Tom knows, he came and helped me with some of that. So just we love to educate children. If we could just educate children, that would be awesome. So I think all the other things that get in the way, that's the biggest challenge.
I wasn't around during Chat Prep's opening, but we're in the middle of it right now for Knox Prep. I don't know if it's appropriate to mention Knox County. And they've been great. Superintendent Reiswick and the team is phenomenal. But we were hit this week with a pre-opening checklist that we had to go through before we can open next week. Our chief of staff, who's probably working on that checklist right now, thanks for the Wi-Fi password. It just seemed very bureaucratic, red tape. The checklist is a lot of busy work. 90% of it can be found on our website. All of it was approved in our charter, and we were also told we have to get a waiver for curriculum from the state, something new that was decided on as of early July, and we're just being told that a week before school opens. So the bureaucracy is Angie's point of, we're trying to focus on kids, and this bureaucratic red tape of checklists and things that have nothing to do with kids is distracting. We need to be out recruiting kids for Knox Prep. We're fully enrolled, but building on our wait list. We need to be working with our teachers, ensuring they have what they need for the first day of school. We have furniture we're literally putting together as we speak. Stuff that can be found on our website shouldn't be a priority right now.
I would like to add one thing to that, just as an example. So we had 30 acres donated to the school. We use that acreage every day to educate our students. And I applied for tax exemption on the property. It's a very expensive piece of property. The taxes on there are about $14,000 a year. A public school does not need to take instructional dollars and pay property taxes. So I applied for that, and they said, no, you can't have it. You must have a completed structure. So I said, I will get you a completed structure. So in 2 weeks, I built 2 classrooms, 2 outdoor classrooms, and they're beautiful classrooms. Resubmitted, and they came back, and this is what they said. No, we're sorry, you can have tax exemption on the value of the outdoor classrooms, but you cannot have tax exemption on the value of the land. you still owe that. So I'm in the process, I have to take administrative hours where I could be serving students and developing student programming and focus on submitting things to the State Board of Equalization, just so I can get through the bureaucracy. Somebody there, I don't know why, it seems like, I went through the same thing with the middle high school. I had to appeal either 2 or 3 times to get tax exemption for a public school for that school as well. So things like that are just still always a challenge.
I'll say one great thing here in Hamilton County is also having a county mayor that's been very supportive of school choice and helping charter schools. I don't know the other school leaders have had this experience, but Mayor Wamp has been very helpful at Chattanooga Prep with some issues we've had at the county. I know the SRDs that were placed in the schools, Mayor Wamp helped with that. That was very helpful with our schools. He was able to get rings paid for by the commission for our basketball team. So that we always think school board and school system, but the county government also plays a huge impact in charter schools and public schools in general. And it's been great having a county mayor that's supportive of school choice and charter schools specifically.
I'd just like to add, from an authorizer's point of view, the bureaucracy is also the biggest challenge. From, the evaluation process is extremely tedious and repetitive, and could probably be revamped.
It's horrible.
And just the responsibilities as an authorizer seem to be in such a gray area. It's you're walking a tightrope all the time, and so I think, and you'll probably hear me say this again later, but I think having communication with our leaders and make sure that we're kind of walking that line, being responsible, but also allowing them their autonomy. And then, just keeping up with law and regulations and the changes in that is a huge challenge constantly, so.
Thank you. I'll turn it over to commissioners for our time remaining for any questions that you have for our panelists.
Yeah, please.
So I'll pick up on your last statement to you all. Tell us, because we're authorizers, what should we know from you all on the other side of it that might help us better understand the things we ought to be thinking about, and maybe the things that might be helpful to applicants who want to try to open a charter school?
Sometimes it's hard. I want to say this right. Sometimes it's hard submitting your application to people who know a lot less about the process and about charter schools than you do.
I think looking at every policy you have and every step you have for new charter schools and ensuring they're excellent for kids and they're student-centric is imperative. If it's something that is not really going to affect kids, and if it's something that someone who's opening a new school that is tedious, that is just something bureaucratic, that's not going to help make things excellent for kids, I love that word earlier, then think things through it and really prioritize things that really are going to impact outcomes, excellent outcomes for our students here in Tennessee and our public charter schools. For example, Knox County, and again, superintendent's been great and overall good experience. Knox Prep's gonna have 30% of our student body with at least one IEP, which is double the amount Chat Prep. Very significant number. Students with special needs are a priority. We want to provide excellence for them. It's an opportunity for us as a public charter school to really serve kids who need us. And we try to get access to their IEPs. Our special education teacher, we hired her earlier. She's excellent, lots of experience, and the district told her she can't see them until our contract goes in effect on July 1st. And if we would have waited till July 1st, that would give her 4 weeks to evaluate 30 kids' IEPs and ensure they're set up for success on August 1st. So little rules like that, I know that's, y'all really impact student learning and student outcomes and children and families. As a parent with a child with an IEP, I want the special ed teacher to be reaching out to me early on in advance and ensuring my son is set up for success, which my son goes to MEHP and she has an excellent exceptional ed program that does that. But the state and our LEAs, like, look at your rules, look at your policies, and are they excellent for kids?
Other questions?
I have a question about the funding formula and how TISA, so two questions really, or two topics. One, under TISA, how are things going? How is that impacting you all at the school level with our new funding formula revisions? Thing one. Thing two, obviously the exceptional adults in the buildings support our exceptional students. And so talk a little bit about what opportunities or challenges you have in recruiting leaders, retaining teachers for your classrooms, and how you think about their growth.
So I was gonna follow up, well, that kind of leads into it, but there were times, so we didn't get funding for necessarily enough funding for high need students. And so at one time I had a student who was on an IEP, and she had to have special transportation. And I fought the state I lost that fight between, the LEA and the state. I could not access funds, and so I had to fundraise $52,000 a year to pay for one student on a special ed bus, because we still do not, as far as I know, receive funding for high need students in those categories. And that's really a deterrent to educating students, getting her there, but we had to fund that bus. And so that's, that funding, I don't know how that works in the formula. I still don't think it's in there. Once I learned TISA, I'm still learning about how to navigate. But I think that, on my end, we can't, it's a challenge to hire teachers. Our county, I don't have as many funds as they do, right? So I can't compete. I have to give other reasons for teachers to come stay and teach with me. And we have done a pretty good job of that. I've lost teachers to the county over a $12,000 bonus. As a matter of fact, just recently, I had a teacher who wanted to negotiate salaries and said, they reached out and said they would pay me $12,000, and I had to say to her, best I can do is ask you to give me a 30-day notice because I can't meet that demand. Mm-hmm. And so, TISA, there's no funds there that's going to allow me to compete in that arena ever. And so hopefully I have other reasons why they stay and teach with me, but there's just not enough money to meet those demands. And so I can't come up with a signing bonus every year for $5,000 or $8,000. I'm a heck of a fundraiser, I think, but I'm not that good.
I would say with TISA, we need a little bit more time. This will be the first year that we get the additional funding for our students we had last year. One part that was really hard was if you have kindergartners, which we're building a school, so the majority of our students were kindergartners, they come in with extreme needs. You don't have any more funding for that, and you have to assess the need. So, for example, our speech therapy bill was $8,000 a month last year. Okay, if you're a startup school and you're still not getting any additional for those students with those needs until the next year, but you're a startup school and you have to fund that on the front end, but you don't have any funding to do that with, that was very much a challenge. Personally, I liked it better when we just got the chunk of money and we could just distribute it how we needed to within the school. But TISA is still we're deliberating, and it's out there, and we're trying to see, because this will be the first year that we've got the funding from the prior year students. So having that year delayed funding is an extreme hardship for startup schools. And then here in Hamilton County, we do have great charter school people, but Hamilton County pulled a fast one on us last year. They only gave us 75% of our funding for the first quarter. I say our funding, the students' funding for the first quarter. So that combined with having to fund everything else on the front end was very, very challenging for a startup school.
I'll echo my colleagues, nothing to add. I think just the rollout was confusing. A lot of different communications, different PDFs, different Excel docs, and we'd get one thing and then it would change. So it was really hard to understand it until right when school started. And even then, as Angie mentioned here in Hamilton County, the percents changed and just a lot of confusion in the rollout and in communication. I get it. It's something new. It takes time. So that was, I think, our biggest challenge with the communication piece. Opening a new school this year, I know we didn't know until this summer exactly how much we were going to be getting. And that makes it challenging for budgeting, especially when our board approves our budget in June and you don't know exactly how much money you're going to have. So I think the communication and just having people at the state level that actually, and at the district level that know also, I know it's been challenging in the district to get answers because they're learning also, which I get, but communication and then just general knowledge of how it works. But, we've appreciated more money. As Elaine said, it's still not enough to compete with a lot of the bonuses. So we've had to be creative also, like giving a full week off for Thanksgiving to our teachers and just really being creative in that, offering more teacher certification programs, thanks to our partners at SCORE. But the special ed's a problem. We're not getting any extra. As I mentioned, Knox Prep's 30%. Kids with disabilities, so we're having to hire an assistant, we're having to provide more speech services, we're having to provide different therapies, and that's at our cost, and we're not getting extra for that. So I would say that's one area of improvement to just really differentiate and help charter schools in particular with funding needs for special education students.
Eddie? I saw in your numbers that you've had a lot of improvement on addressing chronic absenteeism, which is a problem everywhere in the country, particularly in Tennessee. Can you share with us some of your strategies that you've undertaken to improve your chronic absenteeism and reduce that rate?
For Ivy Academy and Skiller Elementary, it's hard to say because students are starting, kindergartners. They weren't truant the year before. But for the middle high school, the feedback we get from parents is the additional time outdoors. Their students don't hate coming to school anymore. So that's just something that the human body needs, and they very much respond positively to that. So as a matter of fact, we ran parent surveys for a couple of years in a row, and 92% of parents reported that if their student had not wanted to come to school or had a problem with truancy before, after attending Ivy Academy for a semester, that problem was gone. So just the additional outdoor time was a big thing for our model.
For us, we've concentrated on attendance again, particularly in our urban area. And so we drive the attendance contract. We meet once a student hits that third absenteeism mark, someone meets with them and their parents automatically. Once they gather 2 more absences, they meet with the principal and potentially a CEO or a CEO in residence.
I haven't had to meet with her yet.
And once that happens, then if you're missing 5 days, then you probably are going to be put into tutoring immediately after school, and it's not voluntary, it's mandatory. And so we've really had to, and the parents sign that attendance contract. And then on the 8th one, we may do a home visit. I mean, we really have had to make sure that we stay close to that with meetings and visits and And so it's helped us. I think our attendance has really improved and stayed pretty high over the years, but it's been really an intense concentration on those things.
Attest to that, my 6-year-old's terrified to be absent from school. Same strategy. The onboarding. Next year, Prep Public Schools will serve 685 scholars, 580 here in Helens County. Every scholar, before they start school, signs an attendance contract. They have to go to onboarding. We do a Welcome to Prep Public Schools event at both schools where we reiterate our expectations of attendance. We talk about the why also. Like missing school affects graduation rate, missing school affects ACT, your academic results. And then we provide incentives. Being an all-boys school, boys love to be competitive. And so we have challenges between grade levels and homerooms, and our principals recognize the scholars in the morning meetings. We give cash prizes, we do drawings once a month. We have a wonderful donor that gives us money. It's the cheapest thing in our budget, but best outcomes, impact. We give away $100 once a month to a scholar that has perfect attendance. We draw names. At the end of the year, we have a big attendance celebration and try to provide celebrations for scholars meeting excellence. And then we have the parent meetings. As Elaine does, we have ongoing, once a parent or a scholar meets a certain amount of days absent, we bring those families in and have conversations about, hey, this is what you signed, this was the contract, how can we support you in ensuring your student comes? And then it's all hands on deck. Our principal at Chattanooga Prep, she will go pick a child up if they're not to school, and the last thing they want is Miss Kelly to show up at the door, knocking on the door, let's get in the van and you're coming to school today. So I mentioned one of our core values is do more, achieve more. We really try to do more to get kids at school because we understand how important it is in their education.
So I was actually on that's one of the committees I'm on with the Hamilton County Schools, is we were not achieving in our chronic absenteeism. I think we cut ours like 3 or 4% this past year. And one of the things that we looked at is the fact that, we're coming back from COVID. At one time we were telling everyone, if you have the sniffles, stay home. And so that kind of became the norm for 2 or 3 years. And so it was really hard to kind of re-educate folks. But that actually is what we're trying to do right now is re-educate. I don't think people really understand the difference between unexcused absences and chronic absenteeism. And so just helping them to understand that, and Brad said this, if you're missing school, you learn best in a room with a teacher teaching you. You get the social interaction, you get the supports right then and there. And so we did improve this past year. And but the other piece is, I think between educating parents, fine-tuning the paperwork itself, justifying your attendance, making sure it's correct, that kind of clears things up to address the folks who are really having chronic absenteeism for serious reasons, for transportation issues, for medical issues. And then we can then come in and hopefully provide the supports or connect them with the supports, either with the system or within the community, to help reduce those problems that are causing the chronic absenteeism. So I think it's a group effort, trying to re-educate and turn the tides on that.
And I'll add real quick, one thing we saw in the data is Fridays were days or scholars were consistently missing. And we looked, our teachers were doing a lot of like games and team building and stuff. And kids will stay out those days. They can do that at home. They can eat pizza at home. So we started ensuring that Fridays were testing quizzes every Friday. And the instruction is happening from beginning of the day to the end of the day, every single day, especially before holidays, before Thanksgiving, before Christmas, before spring break. It's instruction. We found, and when parents know too, there's going to be a test on that Friday or a quiz on that Friday, they're going to ensure they're at school.
I'm going to add one more thing as well, and it kind of goes back to what Angie was saying. Kids want to be at school. If you can connect students to school and have them engaged, make them a part of something of that school, they want to be there.
And I see Maggie over there dancing, trying to get us to wrap up. I have one quick question. It's something that you started off with that I don't want it to go by. Listening to you all, the transition that Hamilton County has gone through over the last 10, 15 years from a adversarial relationship to a collaborative, from an us versus them to, as you said, Jim, a we approach. What was the catalyst that really prompted that change, and how did you all navigate those waters?
So I know that when Dr. Robertson came along, he continued it, but for me being in it, I remember Brian Johnson coming in as superintendent, and I met with him when he came into the county, and I said to him, how do you feel about charters? And he said to me, he says, I don't mind charters. I probably don't want 20 in the county, but there's nothing wrong with charters. And I saw that whatever year he came in, I don't remember what year it was, I saw the change happen then, because leadership is everything, right? And the person that's leading, people are going to follow them. And I think he put an expectation there at that point that we would not be in an adversarial relationship with public charters. I saw it happen. I saw the change and felt the change at that point. And sure, there were, and there still are, individuals who are on the old mindset. But the individuals have become less and less, and the leader affected more people who changed that relationship, in my opinion.
I agree. Your superintendent matters a lot. And we found that here in Hamilton County and Knox County, Dr. Risewood, who has charter school experience, has been excellent to work with. And Dr. Robinson, I can text him right now with an issue or just to collaborate, and he's going to respond. He's very, very pro Hamilton County kid. So I agree with Elaine. Leadership matters. Your superintendent matters a lot.
I agree. People retiring that were of the old mindset, there's fewer and fewer there. And so the attitude has changed to look at charter schools for what they should be, which are incubators for innovation and education. So we need to be the leaders with new ideas, and people are beginning to look at us that way instead of the enemy.
Yeah, I was just going to add, I think I spoke about this earlier, the evidence of a department known as Opportunity and Access that's focusing on that, that focuses on serving all students of Hamilton County. And I say all, that's a bold statement around here. I mean, to dig into that and to serve communities that may not have, received what they should. To do that is a bold statement, and I think that the charter schools fall right into that department. And so I think that just, like you said, started with Brian. And when Brian started, I was running a school, so I was not paying attention to charter at the time. But that is obviously evidenced as Dr. Robertson has taken over as well.
And that's helped us. That's helped us because we still must educate people in Hamilton County, and I'm sure across the state. We're not private schools, and I can't tell you how much education that takes. Even when, our partners talk about it all means all, to this day, it will come up once a month. I'm not a private school. I am a public school serving all of God's children.
And with that, I think we'll conclude our panel. I'd like to just say a special thank you to our panel participants. I want to acknowledge that the end of July is a wonderful time for you all to be outside of your school buildings and here with us, but we really do appreciate your insights. And thank you to our commissioners for all of your questions. Appreciate your time today.
Thank you so much, and we're getting you out of here on time.
Thank you for listening. Chair Richards, do you have any closing remarks or anything?
Not on this. Thank you so much for your time, and the least we could do is get you out of here on time.